All right, I talked to Shannon Alvarado tonight, and for the first time, she listened. She didn't make it about her. She didn't tell me stories about 300 other people. She didn't change the subject a whole bunch of times. And when I expressed how I felt, she didn't get defensive. I mean, at first she did, but that's the thing is she didn't have somebody in the background yelling a bunch of mean shit. She didn't have somebody else texting and pretending to be her. It was Shannon actually talking to me and me talking to her, and it was an adult conversation. Um, when she talks over people, like she holds it in until she's just gonna explode, and then she just talks. Regardless of what you're saying, she's just gonna talk. And tonight I explained to her, well, when you do that, that's basically what I do with the videos, is that I try to tell you, you talk over me, and I need to express myself. And if you're not going to listen to me and you're not going to understand how I feel, I'm going to post a video, and I'm going to post it with a lot of emotion because you didn't listen. And she understood the comparison. Um, Also, with the fact that people tell me that I just need to get over it. Well, obviously, there's somebody in her household who isn't following that advice, and it's okay for him, but not for me. People say, well, why do you show those? That's so mean of you. No, it's not. When you're in extreme situations like that, you're in extreme situations like that. When you've grown up in environments where druggies and alcoholics abuse the shit out of each other, and people are constantly screaming, you know, just before that abuse, I mean, yeah, you get PTSD from that, and it shuts you down. And in most of the situations that I was in, that was the situation. With Lana, her snapping at me was not drug induced, so far as I know. I don't know if she was on prescription pills or anything like that. Um, but the point is that all of these people, when they do that, it invalidates my emotions. It's them saying loud and clear that they're allowed to have emotions and I'm not. Shannon didn't do that to me this time. She actually listened to what I had to say, and she was allowed to express what she had to say. Whereas previously, it was when she was pissed off, she'd be pissed off in a bunch of voice messages where she talks into the thing, and I listen to it, and I can't defend myself against this. I just have to take it for some odd reason. And that's difficult for me. Um, Kittens. So, I don't have the ability to express in texting, especially because it's so difficult to do. I mean, I type 10 words per minute when I'm texting. I can type faster on the computer, but I'm one of those one finger people. So even on a computer, it's slow. On the texting, I do it with my thumbs. That's something that's really difficult for me to explain too. Now, because of my communication issues, and because, like, the media didn't care, they didn't listen to any of the people who spoke up, who tried to show the truth. They said, oh, your Facebook. Fuck you. Fuck the media. If Donald Trump wants to prove that the media is fake, my case is the way to do it. If he could get that evidence from those police officers and allow me a temporary pardon long enough to get my disability back and a roof over my head so I can finish my story, and sign an FBI agent to sit with me and look at that evidence, they'll not only realize that I'm telling the truth, but that charges should have been brought against the Bollingers, against Kara Johnson, aka Kara Miles, and charges need to be brought against these officers. But the problem is that Donald Trump is rich, and the poor people make rich people a lot of money. The things that were done to me, the vigilantes, the web wingnuts like Kara Johnson and Karamia and many others, many others. These people were directed at me because of the media, because of one-sided media, and also because the professionals didn't do their jobs. A lot of people kept on saying, well, you know, I can't make them do their jobs. Well, yes, you can. You can pressure them to do their jobs. You can recognize that if they can do this to me, they can do it to anyone. The difference is, because of my disabilities, these people have all committed felonies. Now, I don't want all of these people in prison, just the ones who did so intentionally. Now, Kara Johnson Miles obviously did it intentionally. She was pretending to be someone she was not, and she wasn't the only one to do this. A lot of people pretended to care about me, but they showed that they didn't, because they didn't help me how I had asked. Miss Lana snapping at me when I didn't do what she wanted, well, that's the problem, is that she hasn't taken any time to find out the situation or look at the evidence. She's already decided that what she has to say is correct, and that I'm the autistic retard, and that's the problem with the autistic retard treatment, is that before I told people I was autistic, they said, man, you're really smart. I'm like, I know. But as soon as I tell them I'm autistic, I'm automatically wrong, they're automatically right, and it's okay to treat me like shit because I'm autistic, and obviously I must be retarded. I also explained about Rick, about how, yes, I still defend him as far as his emotions go. But the thing is that he was really a dick and continued to hold a grudge. And people say, Sean, you need to let it go. Well, Rick wasn't made homeless. I was. Rick wasn't victimized by the general public. I was. Rick didn't have all of his money taken away. I was. Or rather, I did. It's the difference in scenarios. The President of the United States, if he is really interested in going after fake media, then he needs to go after them. And that means that he needs to acknowledge that there's something called the Constitution of the United States, and my rights were completely violated. My rights were taken away from me, and my guilt assumed before I ever had a day in court. And then there's people who were aware of the abuse that I was enduring, like Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa, Jeff Ritter and Kara Heller, and Nicole Peralta. The later three, those are people who are mandatory reporters, and they did not mandatorily report anything. The police are also mandatory reporters, and they just turned off their body cams and ignored what it is that I was saying. Were able to and allowed to paraphrase. My public pretenders would not do their jobs. Now, I'm still not in a safe environment. I can do a lot of things for myself if I have an environment to do it in, but you can't expect somebody to do all of this stuff when they're homeless. You can't expect somebody to go to the library when they're assaulted at the library, having their life threatened at the library. People are fighting each other at the library over whether or not they're guilty. That's why somebody should be allowed an honest day in court. I was never allowed to defend myself, and the media is the primary reason for the sheer quantity of bullshit that I went through. Tonight, Shannon Alvarado listened to understand for the first time. Dan Fabert never did this. Layla Johnson, aka Layla Doonan. I don't know what her real name is. Aaron Cockerham actually sent me her real name once. That's the thing. A lot of these web wingnuts know each other from other death sites. That's what they're into. With Shannon, she's not a bad person for being into all that death stuff and murder this and murder that, but the fact is that that's something that, especially after what happened, I don't want to hear about 300 other people that were murdered. I don't want to watch shows about people that are being murdered. There's a lot of situations that, because of the situation I was in, I couldn't report on. But I also have proof of all of it. The problem is sitting down and actually taking care of all of these things. Having a place where I'm not in a subservient position where I have to be afraid that if I speak up that I'll get in trouble. I make videos because I can barely function. Right now, after Tony Kovaleski and his goons, I don't really feel comfortable existing. I realized after sending 30 messages to them this morning, and they're like, oh, well, obviously you can function. You sent 30 messages this morning. Yeah. And I would have loved to send more. I would have loved to send them last year. I would have loved to be able to sit down and actually be able to organize it in a positive working environment, in my own environment, like all of these people who came after me have. But that environment was taken from me because Natalie died. And because of all of the abuse against me, and because of the things that I had to do to defend my friends and family. Friends and family who threw me away and didn't care. No, it's not something that somebody can do from homeless. I should have never been prevented from going to my court dates. I was illegally prevented, but it's magically fine and dandy because The media painted me in such a horrible fashion that a lot of people hate me. Meanwhile, if you look at the way that other people react, it's fine for them to react that way, isn't it? It's not okay for me. Meanwhile, they're in houses, and the police will actually take their report, but they won't take it from me. Mandy Hughes, I'm pretty pissed off at her. See, she and her daughter both made claims that were untrue, and I'm going to speak about that in my next video.